Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Let's get started. I'm going to be using soft suede, Sahara sand, balmy blue, a couple of our blending brushes. Got 5 blends markers, Flirty Flamingo, light crumb cake, dark crumb cake, light Mango Melody, and light Bermuda Bay. I'm going to be using Seaside View, using this element here and the little birds. I'm going to be using Friends Are Like Seashells. Oops. Piece of scratch paper, some Post-it note, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of white, a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of Bermuda Bay, and my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the front of my card just to get that out of the way. Should be the same size as the front of the card. Okay. I'm going to bring in my scratch paper. And I'm going to turn it this way so I have something to adhere it to. And I'm going to go ahead and tear this in half. Okay, I'm going to use both pieces of it. So let's put one aside. Actually, I think I want to use this one here. Okay. And I'm going to take a Post-it note to adhere this down. First I need to stamp something before I do this. So let's put this aside. I'm going to move these. I already stamped and cut these out so you wouldn't have to on my Post-it note. I'm just reusing the ones I did. First thing I need to do is bring in this chair stamp, this stamp here. And I also need Memento black ink. So get my Memento out. Let's ink this up real well. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stamp this up here in this corner, or right up here. Just make it look like it's... There we go. Stamp that. Okay, now I'm going to, without re-inking it, go ahead and stamp on my Post-it note. Okay, I'm going to put the cover on this black ink for a second. And I'm going to take my scissors and cut it out. I don't need all this sand. I just want to cut the chairs out in that. And I do want to point out, in order to cut out these center pieces, I've cut here. And then like here, see, I've cut there, those 3, so that I could get all these little pieces out. Okay, it's not a necessity, but I didn't want the white showing behind it, so. Okay, so let's put this over the top of our chair. Okay, now we're going to bring in that piece of torn paper. We want our sand line to be right about even with this line on that stamp. So we're going to pick a spot I'm going to lay it down. We're going to tape it down with our Post-it tape. And I'm going to actually tape down the bottom half of my card here, just so it doesn't slide on me. Okay. I'm going to come in with one of my blending brushes and the Sahara sand. And I only cut this out because it's a little fiddly. Cut it out prior, and I didn't want to take up that much time. Okay, and I'm going to, whoops, I want to do the blue on the top, so I don't know what I'm thinking here. We're going to take the Balmy Blue and our blending brush, and we're going to tap off onto this paper. We're just going to do real nice soft little blends. And it doesn't look like much of anything right now. If the paper rolls over on you, start on the paper and go off the paper. You can always add more. And it's alright if it's a little bit splotchy, because then it'll just look like clouds. You know, if some spots are white and some more white than others. You just want to make sure you get all the way around the edges. I want to get the top of this chair real well. I think it's probably enough, but let's just add a little bit more here. Okay. Let's lift this one off. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now we're going to take the other half. We're going to line it up over the where we had it here. There we go. Well, it's not going to line up 100%. I don't know why. It should, but I think it's because it tore it so wonkily that it's not going to. So we'll line it up, and we'll tape that part down. I'm going to move this one to the top of the card. We use these. You don't have to tape it down. You can just hold it down, but I did find taping it makes it a little bit easier. Now we're going into the shaded Sahara sand. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to blend in some of the Sahara sand in here. Whoops. Okay, now we're going to come in with some of the soft suede. And just use the same brush. tap off on here, because I don't want it too dark, and I'm going to, this top here like this, around the edges. Try a little bit underneath the bench here. And just a little bit of darkness around. Okay. Go ahead and take this off. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Got to be a little bit careful taking these off because you've got all those spaces where you cut it to get inside. There you go, unless you don't want to use it again, then that doesn't matter. Okay, now for the front here, for these ones, got to figure out what you want in the front and stamp that first. So I'm going to do this starfish and this shell here. Bring in my black ink. And got them all on one block here because I needed to use those blocks for something else. So get that one out. Ink that up first. Stamp that over here. Okay, stamp that on your Post-it note and then cut it out. So I've already done that, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. I'm just trying to line it up so it's best I can. Just going to do it this way. Okay. Now I'm going to stamp this other shell. Where is it? This one. Come on. Stamp that one over here. Stamp that on my Post-it note and cut it out. I've already done that as well, so. Okay. Switch this while I'm at it. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the sand dollar. I'm going to stamp that overlapping these two here, and I want those two little holes in the sand dollar noticeable, so I want those up towards the top. Oh, I just got stuff on my card. Oh well. Alright, take these off, and you can see they look like they're behind. Oh, I still need this. I need a couple little shells over here, one over here, one going off the page over here, and we need our sentiment. Love you to the beach and back. That'll go right here. Okay, then I've got this sand looking one. I'm going to come in with the I'm going to use Sahara sand ink. And I'm going to just stamp some sand around. stamping it and then continuing to stamp. So let's put some here. Some over in this way. Okay. There we go. Let's see if I can erase that black ink there. Probably not. I think what I'm going to do is come in with that tiny little shell. I'll stamp another one of those over there. There we go. That hides it really well. Can't see it then. Okay, awesome. Now we just have a little bit of coloring to do with our blends. Oh, I need to stamp the birds in the sky first, so let's do that. Let's go up here. Okay. Now let's color. And it's real easy coloring. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm bringing in the Flirty Flamingo, and I'm coloring in the drink inside the liquid inside the glass so that it looks like you have a glass of lemonade. And then I'm also using this to color this shell. And a little bit on these shells. Okay, then I'm going to bring in the yellow one, which is Light Mango Melody. I'm coloring the lemon here. And I'm going to color in this starfish. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the light Bermuda Bay. I'm going to color in this table. And I'm using the bullet tip because it's tiny. It gives me that control so I can get these little legs. Okay, then I'm going to add a little bit here to the center of this shell. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the light crumb cake, and I'm going to go over these shells. And kind of blend that in together. I'm going to go over the starfish around the edges. And I'm going to go a little bit over this one. Just enough. It just dulls those colors down a little bit so they're not quite as bright. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to color this whole entire starfish with the light color, excuse me. Oops. Come in with the darker. And I'm just going to go like around where the starfish is, this center part here, around where this other shell is. And I'm going to blend this back out with the light. Okay, now I'm going to take, I think I'm going to try the light. I don't remember what I used. And the shading lines underneath the bench, I'm going to give that a little bit of shading, a little bit of shadow. Any of those lines. Go ahead and bring in the dark and add just a little bit more to some of those. Okay. I'm going to come in with the light again. I'm going to add something on this that I don't have on the other one. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow underneath these shells so they don't look like they're just sitting in the floating. I was looking at it trying to figure out what I didn't like about it. I think that's it. Looked like it was just floating there. There we go. That looks better. Okay. Now we can add this to the front of our card. And I just used the wet glue. There's no layers. Okay, there's going to be just a 1/16 of an inch because it's an 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card front. And there we go. There's the card we just made together. I like the shadow underneath it. It kind of adds to it. And there's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.